Now it's time to find out what's growing in Ganim's garden. Here's Lee Ganim, that garden guy, from Ganim's Garden Center, Kings Highway Cutoff, Fairfield, on WICC 600.
What is going on with this weather?
I was thinking as I was driving around yesterday, if you woke up from a deep sleep in the horticultural world and drove around town, you wouldn't think it's May 4th. You'd think it might be April 4th because it seems to be almost a 30-day regression back. And everything is just all messed up. I mean, even the grass is just starting to grow. The guys that cut grass.
Right.
I mean, usually you get 28 cuts a year. You might get 24 this year. You missed about 2 or 3 cuts already. So
really weird.
It's just one of those years. And, I guess that full moon is really going to come true next week. And I think after that, we're going to start having some weather. So hopefully we'll have some decent weather coming on. This weekend, of course, is the Dogwood Festival up in Greenfield Hill. Unfortunately, Mother Nature has not done his thing and give them the blooms that they really need to show off. But they'll peak out in a couple of weeks, but it still is going on. There's a little history up there. The dogwoods are actually a native tree to the area. Dr. Isaac Bronson in 1790 planted 5,000 of them when he saw there weren't that many around until 1982 when Lloyd Godfrey came into the business about 1946. There's only 1,000 of those actual first trees there. So Lloyd Godfrey was a arborist and a tree warden in Fairfield for many, many years. He owned Godfrey's Tree Service, and he's the fellow that went around and found out what the problems were after they were kind of dying. He found there was a fungal problem and addressed it and started replanting a lot of dogwoods, which is where all these newer dogwoods are up on the hill and all through Fairfield. Of course, Fairfield is dogwood town. So the dogwoods are very interesting because the original dogwoods, which would be Cornus Florida, are the pink and white varieties that you see. They are attacked by a lot of fungal problems because of environmental problems. So the years that we have really wet seasons, they're such a shallow rooted tree that they start getting a fungus, anthracnose, leaf spot, etc. The years that they're very dry, they crap out because they just can't get enough moisture. So it's kind of a yin and yang thing.
It's got to be perfect.
Yeah, so, most people put them out in the middle of their yard, probably the worst place in the world to put a regular dogwood. They're actually an understory tree. They like to be somewhat shaded, so they need a little canopy over them. There are varieties, of course, that grow more out in the sun, like Cornus Kousa or the Chinese dogwoods. But back to the regular dogwoods, we actually have a bunch of new varieties or cultivars like Cherokee Brave and Cherokee Princess. Ironically, they're named backwards because Cherokee Brave is a pink, and it refers to a man, of course, and the Cherokee Princess is a white. So, horticulturists aren't so smart sometimes. But there's a whole new series. There's actually a lot of crossbreeding that's gone on. Rutgers University was the first to really run out what they call a constellation series. And the most popular ones are the Stellars, and the Stellar Pinks and the Stellar Whites. And those are a cross between Cornus Florida and Cornus Kousa. So they really don't bloom at the same time as Cornus Florida, and they don't bloom as late as Cornus Kousa. So they kind of bloom in between. So regular dogwoods normally bloom, and then the leaves come on. Kousa dogwoods, the leaves come on, and then they bloom. But they'll bloom much later in the series. So we can give you like 3 months of dogwood blooming if you have enough room in your yard to accommodate all 3 varieties. Plus, you got a lot of these newer bush dogwoods like wolfeye, which is a variegated Kousa. It's almost like a bush rather than a tree. And of course, don't forget we have all the shrub dogwoods that you can put in wetland areas like red stem, yellow stem, a lot of silky dogwoods and stuff like that. So there's a new one that we started bringing in from the west coast, northwest corner of the world, Cornus Nutali, which is it's spectacular. We haven't really seen a lot of bloom on it yet. We will this year. We just brought them in last year. They're supposed to have bracts around 4 or 5 inches across, so that should be an interesting thing. So we're going to keep an eye on all this stuff. Dogwoods, they make their own mycorrhiza, which we always talk about mycorrhiza in our bumper crop product and stuff. That's a fungus that's a good fungus that attaches to the root system and helps absorb nutrients. So those are things that you can keep in mind. They actually don't need an awful lot of fertilization. They're more, again, of a woodland plant. So woodland plants normally will grow by themselves, and people tend to overcare. The only other big problem with dogwoods are dogwood tree borers, and tree borers can really do a job. They're little worms. They get up on the from the ground. They come up through the bark of the tree, and they cut off the water that goes to the tree areas, up the branches up on top. So that you have to keep an eye for when you see some loosened bark, or if you've got landscapers that do your yard and like to use those weed whackers and come up real close to the bark. they do a lot of damage, and they give them entry points so they can get up into that
Get
bark.
into the bark.
And they'll skinny their way around. And my dad used to he taught me to take a wire and just shove it up in there or scrape it off. And we had a lot of good chemicals. There's no such thing as a good chemical, but chemicals that attack that we could use, like lindane, which are long gone. So the better one for now would be like permethrin, or if you want to put some merit down. Merit also helps out. That's a season-long thing. But it's one of those things. The average the life length of a dog was probably about 35 years. So if you got a dog with it's like 12 or 14 inch caliber and it's starting to fade, they usually do one big hurrah and then they're done.
And then that's
so
it.
That's what keeps us in business too, I suppose. So it's a good thing. This is a great time to plant shrubs and trees, and especially bare branch trees, and we also recommend watching your watering. Fruit trees in especial, when you start putting fruit trees in the ground this time of the year, they don't really have a lot of leaves on them. People tend to overwater because I guess they figure that more water is better.
Right.
And you're better off to let that tree actually fully leaf out before you really have to water it. So with the weather we're having,
we don't need to
we
water
don't need
anything.
to water a lot, and people that are watering, sprinkler systems that are on are unneeded. I mean, you're really going to create more problems than you really need, and you'll save yourself a lot of money on the water bill. Until we start getting 70-degree days and 50, 60-degree nights, I mean, it's cold out there, and it's like this wind chill factor coming off the water, and we probably won't see any really warm weather until the next change of the moon, which would be the 14th, or the full moon. So the full moon will either bring us colder weather or warmer weather. I'm imagining it's going to go warmer weather this year. So
let's hope so.
Next week, of course, is Mother's Day.
Yes.
And Mother's Day is a great time. Mom always wants something. So, there's a lot of gift ideas in our business that will last a long time. Any type of favorite tree, shrub, rose bushes, in all the different varieties of roses today, tree roses, shrub roses, drift roses that are ground cover. I mean, there's a rose for every area in your yard. These are all great gift ideas. Of course, everybody comes in for the lilacs, and we have plenty of lilacs. But you know what? Don't forget, Mom might want a blueberry bush. I mean, something she can have for years, a raspberry bush or a fruit tree or even a fig tree. These are all different kind of gift ideas. Of course, we have the florist shop, which we can make any type of different arrangement up. We can send them all over the world too. So keep all that in mind. Just a caution on these tender plants, and our competition out there, unfortunately, is carrying a lot of material that they really shouldn't carry this time of the year. Everybody that comes in wants tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant. And we're telling don't get them yet. It's not right time. And they go, well, I want to take them home, put them in my garage for a couple weeks. I'm going, you know what? Put your car in the garage, leave the plants in the greenhouses where they're going to grow bigger, stronger, and thicker.
Sure.
Because you get a better start. If you delay the timing where you get the soil warm enough, and we're nowhere near a warm soil for those tropical type of vegetables. If you want to get now, the things that are really doing well are all the greens, all of your cold crops. I mean, this stuff, the spinach, kale, all this stuff is loving this weather because it's just nice and cool and plenty of moisture. You shouldn't really have to water a thing. So just to be cautious. I mean, we like to give good advice, and good advice is always something you should have when you're buying something you're going to eat, or you don't want to fail. And people that put out those tomatoes, well, yeah, they sit there, they can't figure out and then they water them more. So that really craps them out.
And then they go, I got a plant from so and so.
Well, you got a plant from so. It's
because
funny to watch the big stores because the suppliers bring in 10 racks of material and they take it back 10 racks that just crapped out. So There's a right time in this business, and we try to advise people to the right time to do the right thing.
Sounds good. Now, listen, I know you're open on Mother's Day.
We are open Mother's Day. Mother's Day, of course, everybody's got a mother or someone that's very dear to them. So our hours are changing this week. We'll be 8 to 7 Monday through Friday, and then 8 to 6 on Saturdays and Sundays. So for the extent of the year, hopefully it'll start getting warmer, and people really do want to shop. And then actually it's nice to plant in the evening if it's really a warm day. It's much cooler. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do, like I say, as much watering. And all the gardening books tell you to plant when it's cool, when the sun's not out. And believe me, we haven't had enough sun. And the growers are the guys that are crying. Every grower I've talked to on the Eastern Seaboard is in the same boat. There's just not enough sunshine out there. You can have all the heat in the world in a greenhouse, but if you don't get that sunshine, the sunshine does something special to those plants. So,
sure.
And it makes them grow nice and big and healthy. So.
All right, sir. Thank you. That garden guy from Ganim's Garden Center, Lee Ganim. Thanks for stopping by today. You could go see Lee at 320 Kings Highway Cutoff. Now listen to what Lee says about the tomatoes and planting right, and go down early. Don't wait till Sunday, last minute, to get your Mother's Day gifts. He's there every day. He'd love to talk to you. Lee Ganim, thank you. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay.
WICC.